Hello everyone and welcome to Diplomatic Channel. I'm Amarachi Ubani. This week our special feature on Jamaica-Nigeria ties. Well, more on Jamaica as the country celebrates its 184th Emancipation Day and 60th Independence Anniversary in the Nigerian Federal Territory, Abuja. I speak exclusively with Ambassador Esmond Reid on the celebrations and how relations between Nigeria and Jamaica have improved, especially since the visit by Foreign Minister Ms. Kamina Johnson-Smith. But first, as usual, a quick check on other discussions in diplomatic circles. We'll be right back. The Nigerian Ministry of Foreign Affairs says investigations are ongoing over reports alleging that Nigerian military officers were responsible for the deaths of protesters during widespread demonstrations on August 10, 2022 in Sierra Leone. A statement from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to Nigerians living in Sierra Leone called on Nigerians to remain calm and to comply with the curfew order from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. daily, and to monitor local news for more information. The statement outlines phone numbers of the Nigerian Consulate and Chancery for emergency contact and ends with the assurance that Nigerian mission in Sierra Leone will continue to collaborate with the host authorities to protect the interests and welfare of Nigerians in the country. A delegation of U.S. lawmakers arrived in Taiwan on Sunday for a two-day visit, during which they're scheduled to meet Taiwan leader Tsai Ing-wen, becoming the second high-level group to visit the island nation amid continued military tensions with the People's Republic of China. Beijing has been holding military drills around Taiwan to express its anger over U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taipei earlier this month. Taiwan's presidential office says the group would meet Tsai Ing-wen on Monday. The UN says its chartered ship, Brave Commander, will depart Ukraine for Africa as soon as it finishes loading more than 23,000 metric tons of wheat in the Ukrainian port of Pivdenie. The ship, which arrived in the port near Odessa, will sail to Ethiopia via a grain corridor through the Black Sea, brokered by the United Nations and Turkey in July. It will be the first humanitarian aid cargo bound for Africa since Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February, under the framework of the Black Sea Grain Initiative.
All three Odessa seaports joined to Black Sea Grain Initiative. Today is an important day, first of all, because first vessel we see Brave Commander staying for the loading of Ukrainian grain. It's first ship which will be the part of United Nations World Food Program.
This shipment, and WP will say more about it, is the first of, we hope, many shipments to come to countries that are suffering great difficulties. There are at least 5 who are already in famine-like conditions and another 20 that are on what we call the watch list for famine. So these shipments are going to be hugely important to those populations.
And finally, the Food and Agriculture Organization has warned that parts of Somalia could experience famine this September, and that 8 regions of the country could be affected if livestock continue to die, key commodity prices rise further, and humanitarian assistance fails to reach the most vulnerable. More than 3 million animals essential to Somalia's pastoral and agro-pastoral communities have died so far, and crop production substantially dropped due to unprecedented poor rainfalls and intense dry conditions. Since the beginning of this year, over 900,000 people have been displaced in Somalia due to drought. 60 years ago, Jamaica achieved its independence from England. A country has had over 50 years of diplomatic relations with Nigeria, which has grown over the years. But on this special occasion, Ambassador Esmond Reid says his country is keen on strengthening ties with Nigeria in health, tourism, culture, trade, and business development, among other ways.
Emancipation Day in Jamaica is celebrated on August the 1st. The day was reinstated as a public holiday by Prime Minister P.J. Patterson in Jamaica in 1998 after a 6-year campaign led by the late Professor Rex Nettleford, a Jamaican scholar, social critic, choreographer and Vice-Chancellor Emeritus of the University of the West Indies, the leading research university in the Commonwealth Caribbean. It was discontinued as a holiday when Jamaica gained independence from Britain in 1962. At that time, it was not an official national holiday. Interestingly, Emancipation Day is observed in many former European colonies in the Caribbean and areas in the United States, as well as the Tibet Autonomous Regions in China, on various dates to commemorate the emancipation of slaves of African descent and Tibetans. Meanwhile, on August 6, 1962, Jamaica gained independence with full dominion status within the Commonwealth and a constitution that maintained the British Queen's prerogative. After Jamaica gained its independence, Britain lost administrative dominance over the country. Fast forward to the weekend of August 6th and 7th, the Jamaican community in Nigeria, led by the High Commissioner Esmond Reid, joined Jamaicans all over the world to mark 60 years of the country's independence and 184 years of emancipation. A Thanksgiving service held on August the 7th at a branch of one of the popular churches in the Nigerian capital, followed by a reception attended by members of the Jamaican community in Nigeria, the diplomatic corps, fellow Nigerians, and friends of Jamaica celebrated together. The High Commissioner Esmond Reid said Jamaica is immensely grateful for the partnerships and the adverse cooperation Jamaicans have enjoyed with countries and international organizations around the world, and that Jamaica has a special bond with Nigeria and the collective history and culture that extends over 400 years.
Joining me now is the Jamaican High Commissioner to Nigeria, Ambassador Esmond Reid. Ambassador, thank you for joining me on the program.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
It is a pleasure having you as well. Let's begin with the obvious, which is a couple of weeks ago, Jamaica, you led the Jamaican community in Nigeria to celebrate Independence Day as well as Emancipation Day. For the sake of our viewers, could you explain the difference between the two?
All right. Well, Emancipation Day is celebrated in Jamaica on the 1st of August each year. And it refers to the day when the slaves in Jamaica and in other parts of the Western Hemisphere secured their freedom. And so we use that day to acknowledge the sacrifices that were made by so many of our forefathers, and we are commemorating that. So, of course, in 2022, we are celebrating the 184th anniversary of emancipation. And Independence Day for Jamaica is on the 6th of August, and that is when Jamaica secured its independence from the United Kingdom, which at the time was the colonial power in 1962. So in 2022, we are celebrating our Diamond Jubilee, 60 years of independence.
Well, congratulations, Ambassador. Congratulations to you and to the Jamaican community in Nigeria.
Thank you so much.
And I know that the celebrations started off with a Thanksgiving service on Sunday, followed by a reception. What is Jamaica most grateful for? And what are you most grateful for, as you celebrate this important landmark jubilee for the country?
Oh, well, certainly Jamaica and Jamaicans are grateful for the sacrifices that our forefathers have made to enable us to now be in a position to celebrate freedom, to be able to chart our destinies without having to rely on an external force or an external authority. We are able to celebrate all the achievements that we have made over these many years, and we can look towards a future that is bright for the generations to come in all the various areas of endeavor, in science, in music, in culture, in sports, you know, in all the possible areas of endeavor that one could think of. So we are really grateful for that, and the fact that Jamaicans at home and abroad are very proud of our history and are very committed to supporting the aspirations of the country.
Indeed. And I know that Jamaica is a peaceful country, well, largely peaceful. I haven't been involved in any crisis over the last few years. I know that COVID came in and dealt with almost every country. Jamaica also felt the impact of that. But have you also felt the need to be drawn into other global issues as well, probably to take sides, perhaps, you know, in one of the most obvious crises that the world is currently facing, which is what is happening between Russia and Ukraine?
Well, we are, as an international player, Jamaica is naturally well aware of the various crises that are confronting the world. And of course, we are partners with many, many countries around the world. So, of course, within the framework of various international organs, especially in this case where you mentioned the latest crisis involving Russia and the Ukraine, the primary forum for international dialogue on that matter is the United Nations. And of course, Jamaica, as a responsible member of the United Nations, would of course participate in the relevant conversations within the General Assembly and other bodies of the United Nations. But of course, we do not seek to get drawn into external conflicts. As you just said, we are very much keen to promote peace and international security. And we encourage, you know, all nations to consider that as a key objective. And we are striving for that in the respective international bodies that we are a member of.
Well, I mentioned the coronavirus previously in my last question, and I know that Jamaica was also hit by that. What's the current condition now in the country? Is it COVID-free? Are you fully reopened?
We are not COVID-free because, as you would be aware, as the international observers and scientists have been saying, you know, COVID-19 is indeed a novel virus which all countries are having to deal with. So our numbers of infected persons have reduced significantly. Of course, there are times when there are some fluctuations, but we have successfully managed the numbers quite well. We have undertaken an extensive campaign to make people aware of the challenges, and we are able to exercise, you know, our daily activities with some measure of flexibility. And, you know, as I said, the awareness has ensured that persons continue to observe the key protocols, you know, of wearing masks in certain settings, and to observe sanitization, and all these other areas. So, yes, we are managing the crisis fairly well now.
We'll be right back for the remaining part of my interview with Ambassador Reid. Stay with us. Welcome back. I'm back to my interview with a Jamaican High Commissioner to Nigeria, Ambassador Esmond Reid. Bringing it back home, how would you describe Nigeria-Jamaica relations? I mean, well, much of Jamaica's population is made up of black people. A lot of them have come from Nigeria many years ago. So I know that Jamaica does feel some attachments to Nigeria. So if we're talking about bilateral relations today, how would you describe it?
Oh, our bilateral relations have always been and remain very, very strong. We We cooperate in so many areas. I mentioned some of the areas earlier that Jamaica focuses on culture, on research, on energy cooperation, on sport and music, in so many areas. And Jamaica and Nigeria, as you said, we have a very, very strong historical bond. And we have sought to reaffirm that in different ways. In fact, earlier this year, in the month of February, we had the 4th meeting of the Nigeria-Jamaica Joint Commission, which is the primary mechanism for managing the bilateral cooperation program between both countries. And we used that meeting. Of course, the meeting was held here in Abuja. And we used that meeting, which was led by the foreign ministers of Jamaica and Nigeria, to highlight where we have come in the relationship and how we need to reaffirm and expand the areas of cooperation going forward. So, as I said, the relations are indeed very strong. And it's not only in a bilateral context that we cooperate, but we also work very closely in multilateral agencies like the United Nations, the World Trade Organization, the Organization of African, Caribbean, and Pacific States, different bodies, the Commonwealth. So there are many, many areas and frameworks for cooperation.
Yeah, I remember the Foreign Minister, Ms. Camilla Johnson-Smith, was in Nigeria in February for that bilateral, the binational joint commission, the 4th one that you're talking about. And in my interview with her, we did talk about, some of the areas of relations for both countries. I know one of them seemed to be really key was the resumption of flights to and from Jamaica. I know that the Nigerian Foreign Minister had made a flight, I think the inaugural flight, from Nigeria to Jamaica. He incidentally was at the celebrations in Kingston with Ms. Camilla Smith. So I'd like us to talk a bit more about that, because I know that many Nigerians are looking forward to strengthen this partnership. And one of the ways to do that is through traveling.
Oh, yes, absolutely. In fact, we are still celebrating that inaugural flight that was held from Lagos to Montego Bay in December 2020. We were indeed very privileged to have Minister Jeffrey Onyeama as the principal passenger on that flight, which had 132 passengers. And we saw that as a landmark achievement, enabling, a direct flight from Nigeria to Jamaica. And we have been working very hard since that to achieve more flights. Of course, it's a very expensive undertaking. We worked very closely with a Nigerian tour operator based in Lagos who has continued to engage different stakeholders to reaffirm the desire to have more flights. And we are in dialogue with different entities, and we are hoping that we can have the flights resume on a more sustained basis later this year. So, of course, we know that having such flights would lead to greater areas of cooperation. Of course, people-to-people contact is very important. Of course, we expect that to be in both directions. Not only would Nigerians be able to visit Jamaica and experience all the tourism and cultural and business opportunities that are there, but the same would go for Jamaicans coming to Nigeria and reconnecting with their roots. And also, of course, Nigerian culture is increasingly popular in Jamaica. A lot of Jamaicans are watching Nollywood movies. They are very much clued into Afrobeats and other aspects of the music scene. And so there's a lot. And of course, there are areas of business cooperation that would naturally be possible once we are able to get people moving more easily and in a more direct way. So we are really very keen to see the flights take off on a sustained basis.
Okay, so a little bird told me, and I know you know who this little bird is. A little bird told me there's a cook-off in the near future between Jamaica and Nigerian chefs.
Yes, indeed. That is indeed the case. We are actively working on having a culinary exposition between Jamaica and Nigeria, and we have been very, very fortunate to secure commitment from a renowned Jamaican chef and a renowned Nigerian chef who will come and display their talents. And we are looking to have this on the 28th of August in Lagos at the landmark beach. And so we certainly are going to be publicizing this, in very short order. And we are looking forward to significant participation in that, because it will certainly showcase the best of Nigerian and Jamaican cuisine, and you will discover things that you were never really aware of in the cuisine of both cultures. So it's going to be an exciting affair. Of course, it wouldn't be complete without good music from both countries accompanying all the culinary delights that will be on offer.
I'm sure many Nigerians will be looking forward to that, tasting jerk chicken at least for the first time. Ambassador, we know this will be a celebration with many more events and activities until the end of the year, at least before you're ready to wrap up your stay in Nigeria. So we wish you all the best. We look forward to strengthening ties between Nigeria and Jamaica as well, and hoping to be there at the cook-off.
Absolutely. You're most welcome to that. And we will certainly highlight other activities that we want to host over the course of the year. We certainly want to do some reggae performances. We want to do, some athletic activities, which will involve, people from different walks of life. We want to do many things that will reaffirm the strength of the Jamaica-Nigeria relationship, as well as to highlight our 60th anniversary, which remains a very, very significant part of this year's celebrations. So thank you so much for being a part of that.
Indeed, Ambassador. Congratulations again to you and the people of Jamaica. Thank you for joining me on Diplomatic Channel.
You're welcome. All the best.
This is where we end Diplomatic Channel this week. I'm Amarachi Ubani. Thank you for watching.